With Anzac Day on Tuesday, you're calling for Aboriginal resistance fighters to receive greater recognition. What would you like to see done to implement this?
Well, firstly, it's not related to Anzac Day, of course, that. Anzac Day at the memorial is going to be about memories in particular of those who've fought for this country, and mostly in the last century, and this. But so it's a sacred day, and that's the major purpose of the War Memorial, is to properly commemorate their service. But it's also there for the history of Australia at war. And one element of that, of course, is the foundational element of it. And it is important that that's properly recognised at the memorial, and the council agrees that that should be so. And but the particular reason why I hope that we have a focus on the frontier wars, the frontier conflict, in a way that shows Aboriginals as what they were, and that is resistant warriors, and that there is respect and honour in having been a resistant warrior at those points of time as we came into this continent. And there's dignity in resistance. There's not as much dignity, there's sympathy in victimhood, but there is dignity in resistance. And we need that properly recognised in this country.
Do you believe the Aboriginals in this country have been denied, but not necessarily deliberately denied, the dignity of resistance?
Well, they weren't in the 19th century when settlement was taking place. Everybody knew about it. It was a matter of constant concern for the colonialists as they came in. Really, the 20th century was the century of forgetting, until the very end, when the High Court drew our attention to the reality of the circumstances of our settlement, and that was we were massively in breach of British common law. And so with native title, they've tried to restructure things in a way that recognises in tenure terms what was the actual position. And that actual position was defended by the Aboriginals, and we need to acknowledge that.
Now, on to The Voice. This new No campaign ad that highlights Shadow Minister for Indigenous Aboriginals Jacinta Price's personal experience growing up in Alice Springs. Do you think this will resonate with Australian voters?
Now I take off my chairman of the War Memorial Council hat and just put on Mr Beazley citizen hat, if that's okay with you.
Absolutely.
I think if this were to lose, it would be a major tragedy for this country, a major tragedy. What we've been asked to do is provide this voice to Parliament, not by some bunch of do-gooders or, you know, the classic trope of the radical character behind, you know, sticking poking a stick into the ribs of the spokespeople. This is a decision that was taken, or a request that was made, by the most representative body of Aboriginals ever in this country. It came straight from them. To turn down this request, which imposes no burden whatsoever on the rest of us, would be act of discourtesy of historical magnitude, and it would do this country very substantial damage in the eyes of countries around us. I do not believe that we citizens are going to make a mistake like that.
Now, I also want to ask you about the AUKUS deal. You've been asked about former Prime Minister Paul Keating's criticism of the submarine deal, but what's your opinion on this very large investment?
This very large investment, now that we have the opportunity to make it, is absolutely essential. Nuclear-powered submarines are an enormous deterrent. They're very difficult to find. They can carry a lot of ordnance, and they therefore would give us a chance of deterring anybody with a hostile intent towards us. So 368 billion over 30 years. We will almost certainly spend 5 times that amount in that period of time on disability insurance alone. And that is before you consider all the other social spending of the country. It would be an enormous advantage to us with our very small and straitened Defence Force budget to have that at the heart of our deterrence.
Lastly, how do you feel about a move away from the Collins-class submarines, a move which you spearheaded?
Well, I am sentimental about the Collins. It continues to be a great submarine, but they're 2 very different operations. You know, the problem for the Collins or any other conventional submarine, as radar technologies, detection technologies improve, they become very much more detectable. Nuclear submarines, not so. And but we would never have had the opportunity of a nuclear-powered submarine were it not for the fact that there was something of a schmozzle around the development of the French submarine, and people went looking for alternatives. I cannot believe, because I used to be told very directly when I was ambassador to the United States not to go down that road of a nuclear partnership. The US did it in the 1950s with the British, and the fellows who are in charge of their submarine program said never again. So we've got this small sliver of an opportunity to get ourselves a really good deterrent.
Mr Beazley, thank you so much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you.
Lovely to talk to you.